Okay, so you notice it said a What's New review. Now that's intentional. This isn't a What's New review segment. This is a behind the scenes segment. But I wanted to show you as part of how the segments get generated for that part. So I wanted to make sure that we use that very process. Okay, let's start with
why don't we just start by telling us a little bit about all the different phases that go into producing this live stream?
Sure. Well, I guess I'll go through the different ideas, and I'll share my screen. Actually, let me do a real quick behind the scenes here. So what we do in the live stream, we're streaming on StreamYard, and then off to this. So I've got my main monitor here, which is you, and then off to the side, I've got some notes that I want to go through, and so I'll just bring those notes onto the stream so we can kind of do this in real time. But one of the different phases that a stream goes through, it's basically here. Let me share this window. Share, and here we go. Bring this onto the screen. Move that StreamYard out of the way so we don't get that recursive effect. So stream goes from planned to scheduled to ready, recorded, post-processed, highlighted, finalized, and completed. And it seems a bit excessive, but I got to the point where I was sort of tracking all these different pieces of the stream. And then I wrote down, okay, the full flow chart of how it works. And it ended up being quite involved. So I thought, okay, I have to manage this. So let me see if I can share this, the flow chart of how the stream process ended up looking like. Because when we first started this, I was doing everything manually. We do the live stream, all the preparation manually. I thought I need to do a brain dump of exactly what's going on. And I ended up with this flow chart here. I don't know how visible this is.
It's pretty tiny. Can we zoom in a bit?
Here we go.
To that.
Here we go. So I thought,
by the
okay.
way, even in full zoom, it looks super tiny.
Well, that's exactly the point. Is I got to the point where, okay, we have this stream and it's going through certain stages. It starts with planning. And then when we go from planned to scheduled, it means that, okay, we've got a date locked in. We've possibly got a guest locked in. We know what episode number it's going to be. And then when we go from scheduled to ready, it means that, okay, we're ready to shoot the live stream. We've got the event made. And so this is what these little tick marks are saying, is all the different bits of data that I need to gather up along the way. I'll zoom in here. And then when we do the stream and it's recorded, that means we have a URL of our live stream that's, our live episode 17.mp4, which we'll have at the end of this session. And then we want to post-process it, which means we chop it up into different highlights and segments that we share out onto social media. And so that I'll show you what that looks like. If we go, and this is a shout out to our own AWS Made Easy channel, but if we go down to AWS Made Easy, so we see that throughout the week we distribute these highlights. This is you and I were in Anaheim, talking about the config that we went over. This article that's adding 20 new resources. This is the recognition article that we went through. And so we bring out these highlights throughout the week. And then finally, at the very end, everything is completed, which means we're no longer tracking it. And so I kind of wrote all this stuff down and I was managing this all in my head. And I thought, okay, well, we need to automate it. Plus, we're programmers, right? So if it's anything we have to do that's more than once, we have to automate it. Now, in general, I'm using this tool called ClickUp, and we can get into that a little bit later. But you can see my ClickUp. We can think of ClickUp as like a programmable Kanban board, and it moves a stream through these different phases. And then basically the way I think about this stream is that for every phase that we talked about, we're saying, okay, do we have data to move into the next phase? If not, then it'll kind of kick me back.
So it's basically a simple workflow.
Exactly. It's just a workflow tracker. Yep. But the cool thing is I can stick a webhook during any point in the process, and that webhook can then call out to an AWS function, a Lambda function. It can call out to a dev dev flow, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's really flexible. And so that way we can enforce processing certain data at each segment, at each transition.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. In fact, I think automation in general, just talking about automation, I feel like it's a really cool way to document complex processes and complex systems, just because English as a language is probably the worst way to articulate these systems. Just, every time I've looked at a wiki to look at how to do something, I have never managed to get it to run. I invariably need to call up a developer or have them come online so that we do a joint session and they walk me through exactly what that text meant I was supposed to do. So automation couldn't be a better way to document all the complexities around these workflows, processes. Even if it is just to be done occasionally, it's still worth documenting it in that form.
Well, I agree that even when especially when it's done occasionally, then I'll talk about this later, but I don't know how many times I've retaught myself AWS SAM because I don't use it often enough to have it, burned into my L2 cache of my brain or even the RAM of my brain. It's in my, the Glacier part of my brain. And so, that restarting that process every single time, it's just often enough where I think I know what I'm doing, but it's not often enough where I'm sure I know what I'm doing. And so I've put a little bit of automation around that. So that way I don't have to think about it every single time and I could just know that it works.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, well, so I think that kind of makes the case for the automation in terms of live streams. Do you have any other questions about what we're doing, or should we go on for the next one?
No, why don't we go on to the next one?
All right, so then I'm going to trigger